Hi there, Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity here with your weekly update. Listen, not a lot to update you on. Trade wars, market proppings, central bank shenanigans, usual stuff. So this week I want to introduce you to the first in a series of videos that I've been producing behind the scenes. And I want two things from you. First, your feedback. Let me know, does this work? If so, why? If not, why? All of that. Second, hey, share it. If you like it, please share this around widely. This one's called Rats in a Cage, and I think it does a lot to help people understand where we are today, the frustration, the anger, all of the divisiveness. This is really helpful, I hope. So let me know what you think, please.
Hi, I'm Chris Martinson with another very important message for you. What do two shocked rats in a cage have to do with Donald Trump or European social unrest? Everything. Look, people are angry, and many of them don't really know why, but I do, and it's time for you to know as well. I'm sure you've noticed the left versus the right, the old versus the young, liberals versus conservatives. We can detect this in the Brexit vote and far right and far left candidates and movements gaining traction all over the world. The true reason for why all of this is happening is something you won't see in the mainstream media, and the explanation is rooted in studies done on rats, believe it or not, many decades ago. Now, in these studies, a single rat would be placed in a cage with an electrified metal grid floor. Painful, inescapable shocks would be delivered randomly through the floor to the rat's feet. And the rat would be miserable because there was no escape and nothing to climb on to avoid the shocks. But that rat would eventually just learn to tolerate those shocks, however uncomfortable. The trouble begins in these experiments when a second rat is placed in the cage. Now, two rats are being shocked at the same time, but instead of adjusting to and tolerating the shocks, each rat now has a convenient object on which to blame their discomfort. The other rat. Shock the two of them long enough, and they would fight, sometimes to the death. If you want to learn more about this, just Google the term shock-induced aggression. It's all there, completely studied and repeated. It turns out that two shocked rats in a cage can teach us a lot about people's reactions to Trump, each other in a politically fractured Europe. The rats fight each other because they can't comprehend where the shocks are coming from. People fight each other because they too are increasingly miserable, but they haven't taken the time to find out what's really shocking them. People don't have to be like the rats in the cage, but they often are. Now, make no mistake, we're all being shocked, myself included. Your intellectual and emotional freedom comes from understanding the wheres and the whys of this story. Students today are shocked by a system that exploits them to become debt slaves while making student debt the only non-dischargeable debt in bankruptcy court. Now that's shocking, right? We're all shocked deeply in our hearts when Mother Earth is mauled and when species go extinct. The largest wealth gap in all of history is shocking, and a wildly dangerous, unfair, and enormously destabilizing social force in our lives that the Federal Reserve specifically created on purpose. The government lies about the true rate of inflation constantly, and people suffer shocks every time their paycheck is nibbled away. The economic oxygen that is being sucked out of our lives, whoa, that's shocking. But it makes no sense for liberals and conservatives to blame each other for any of these shocks. Shocked people fighting riot police makes no sense, because if you widen up the lens a tiny bit, these people would quickly find that they are both on the same side of this story. Both are being shocked in the same ways and by the same people. These shocks are being administered by a very select, small group of people who know exactly what they're doing. The shocks are specifically designed both to keep everyone fighting each other uselessly and to transfer new power and wealth to that same small group. So don't fall for it. Know what's happening. That's where your power comes from in this story. Withdraw your consent from the system and the shockers. It's that simple. Know the context and don't fall for the shocks, which are meant to keep you both angry and ineffectively pointed in the wrong direction. Don't be an angry rat in a cage. There's no excuse for ignorance in this day and age besides destructive laziness. Please free your mind and free your emotions from the shocks, because it's only then that you can truly begin to harness your gifts and help make the world a better place. To find out more, please join me at peakprosperity.com. It's time.